Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a chevron macrame keychain just like this one. There is not a lot to explain in the intro, so we're just going to get right into it. For this keychain, you only really need a few supplies. Just a little key ring and the macrame cord in the colors that you like. I chose to use 3 different colors of 3mm macrame cord. And I wanted white, gray, and dark gray to go from light to dark. Or dark to light, haven't decided yet. So, pretty simple. It came accompanied with a little diagram here. This is the shape of the knot you are going to be tying on each side, and this is how the strands are going to be lying when you loop them around your key ring. So we're going to start by cutting about, I'd say 5 feet of macrame cord for each color and folding it in half, and at that half point make a little hoop, wrap that around your key ring, bring the tail through and tighten that as best you can. And that's how you begin your keychain, your macrame keychain. So the knot I'm using and the chevron pattern, it's kind of diagonal pattern going down like that. If that makes sense, I don't know. It will make sense when I start to make it. That pattern is a popular pattern to use for friendship bracelets with smaller embroidery thread. But you can use that same, a lot of the knots you can use for macrame, you can also use for friendship bracelets, but they will be a lot smaller and more dainty. I wanted a thicker keychain, a bold, chunky keychain, if you will. And yeah, so jumping right into the actual how-to, you want to lay your cords according to this pattern. And I just want to secure them onto my sheet here, and I have a bit of a board underneath with a clip, or you know, you can use all sorts of tape or anything that works to secure that down. And we'll separate. So you want one of each color. You're going to have 6 strands to work with when you pick 3 colors. So you want one of each color on each side, going in the order of how you would like the colors to ascend or descend. So I think I'm going to go dark to light. So I would want to start with my darkest strand as my number 1, gray as 2, white as 3 on both sides. So that is pretty much the layout. And we're going to work from one side to another and then connect them both in the middle, and then one side to another and connect them both, alternating the colors on the way down. So when you want to start with your darkest, you start with your 1, and you're going to put this one to your side, and you want the knot to be in this shape with the color you want on your first row going over top of this cord, of these 2 cords here. So you're going to tie 2 knots on each of these cords in this shape. So you're putting your gray, your dark gray over your light gray in that 4 shape. You're bringing the dark gray underneath the light gray, pulling that tail through, and then bringing that all the way up to the top. And we're going to do that a second time on this strand. And then we're going to work our way 2 knots on each strand, like I said. So another 2 knots. And try and show you how you want your knots to lie. So this is the right way to make sure that they're lying in the correct formation. Sometimes if you pull this string or this one a bit too hard or not correctly, it will kind of bunch that knot up. So you want them to be overlapped like that. And that is your first half. I will time lapse the rest of this, but I'll show you the first few rows here. Then I'm gonna go over to my other side and make a 4 in the opposite direction. So you want the points of the knot to be facing out on each side when you're tying your knot. So again, wrapping over and then under, tying 2 knots that same way, making sure the knot at the top is lying correctly, and moving over to my white one. One and 2. All right. So now you're gonna end up with your darkest strand in the middle. Your next strand for your row is gonna be your light gray, and that's gonna be on top. And then your white strand is gonna be your number 2 in the middle here. Or pardon me, this is the middle, and then these are gonna be on the middle of each side. So this is how you want it to look. And then to connect these 2 sides, you're gonna bring your left side over your right side and do this knot twice in the middle. And don't pull too tightly, you know, give it a good pull at the end, but don't force it too much. And then you're gonna bring your left hand cord over to your right side, and your right side will switch to your left. And that is now how you can begin. Sorry, I'm fixing, making sure they're all lying on the same level there and even. And then now I'm ready to repeat that pattern with my light gray cord. And the pattern will only really start making sense once I've gotten about 5 or 6 rows done for you guys. So show you how this looks, and I will probably start to time lapse it just so we can get through this quickly. So that is the first 3 rows, and I am going to continue that same pattern, dark gray, light gray, white, all the way down. I'm probably gonna make it about that long. I like to have a little extra cord to work with, so I might not have needed 5 feet, but I always like to give myself a little extra just in case. But not too much, because then you start wasting cord. But yeah, I will just time lapse the rest of this cord and catch up with you guys when I'm at the end and show you how I finish and create a tassel. All right, so you can really make it as long and as short as you want, but I wanted to do three segments. So each of these colors is a segment in that order. Pardon me, I'm tired this morning, it's hard to speak. So to finish it off easily, there's lots of different methods, but this is just what I'm gonna do for this one to make it a simple little project here that is still very, very cute. Is just wrap those cords in one big knot at the base, pulling it right, if you can center it right at that point, and try and pinch it where the knots are tied and then pull it so that these strings don't deform the knots you have tied. And there you go. So you're gonna have this long tail. Depending on the look you're going for, you can choose to do whatever you like here. Keep it long and just trim it even, but I wanna make it a bit shorter. And then puff out the tassels. So trim off, have a good pair of shears to do that. And I'm gonna get a comb out. It's upstairs, I think, to really puff them out. But first you can just unroll each of these strands at the end. And there's many multiple little strands that make up the 3mm cord. So you just wanna start pulling those apart. And then after you've got them all pulled apart, I found this to be the easier method to prevent too much tangles. Then you can get your comb out and you can start to brush it out a bit more. I will have to pause what I'm doing here and go upstairs and grab my comb, but as I awkwardly fiddle around with these tassels. But that's kind of the look you're gonna get, and then once you comb it out, it will be a little bit more puffed out, looking a little bit more tassel-like. And get this out of the way. And then you're gonna have a keychain that you can use for keys, for anything you want, really. And that's the back side. Is it gonna look a little different than the front side, but make sure when you're tying your knots, you kind of keep in mind that the back side will be showing sometimes, you know, it's not going to be hanging on a wall. I mean, you could hang this as a refrigerator magnet, I don't know. But if you don't pull your knots too tight like I did right here, I didn't do that correctly, you're going to have little spaces showing. But if you make sure you're pulling them nice, not too tight, but just nice and snugly in place. I don't know if that's a word, but then you're gonna get a bit more of an even look on both sides. But here we go, and I will just brush out the end and show you guys the finished product. I am using a steel prong macrame specific brush, but you can also use a pet brush. They are basically the same thing, and you can find those very cheaply at dollar stores and whatever. So yeah, just give it a little brush and puff out those tassels, and then you get this really nice tasseled finish at the end of your keychain. So a quick note I just wanted to make is this cord, honestly, the best resource. I don't want to support it too much, but gosh, is it ever cheap options is on Amazon. So really, it's too alluring sometimes. You can get about 200 yards or meters, I forget which one, but pretty thick rolls of this 3mm cord for approximately, I think, you know, between $14 to $19 on Amazon. And that has been the most cost-effective way. Honestly, I've gone to the craft store in my town here, and we just don't have a lot of stores that do crafts, and the one that has the most selection, Michael's, is completely cleared out of all macrame stuff. So I tried dollar stores and I found it's a little thinner than the macrame string, but it isn't kind of like an embroidery cotton kind of string, and it is a little thinner, but you can do macrame, you can do jewelry kind of stuff, keychains with this, but it's really good to practice on because you can get all of this for, you know, $1 another big box store, but really very cheaply. So this stuff can add up for bigger projects, and I'm having a hard time finding a cost-effective way to get a lot of macrame cord. And I found that I want to practice some things, and I like using different types of material too for different effects. And so this dollar store stuff, I've got loaded up on it. I highly recommend practicing your knots. There's many different knots when you get into macrame, and it's really good to practice and just do panels of the same knot over and over again. So I recommend using a cheaper cord for that. Long-winded explanation. I am tired. I need to finish my tea, and hopefully you guys can make some really awesome keychains for yourselves. So again, another how-to video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something from it. Thank you for watching, liking, and commenting on videos of mine. It really does help out the channel, and it encourages me personally to keep going. If you guys want to see more plant and craft related videos, you can always click subscribe, and those will be loaded every Sunday, with the goal to do on Wednesdays as well, but that is proving a little bit more challenging than I expected, but for sure on Sundays. So whatever you're doing here, thank you for being here. I hope to see you guys again, and have a good week.